Sure.
You underestimate the power of the dark side. If you will not fight, then you will meet your destiny.
Citizens, soldiers, I'm here at the order of General Robert E. Lee, commanding all Virginia forces. On April 15th of this year of our Lord, 1861, Simon Cameron, the Secretary of War of the United States, sent a telegram to our governor, John Letcher, directing him to raise 3 regiments of infantry to be sent to assist in suppressing the Southern Confederacy. Governor Letcher's answer is well known to you, but perhaps not his words. His wire to Washington stated, "You have chosen to inaugurate civil war. And having done so, we will meet you in a spirit as determined as the Lincoln administration has exhibited toward the South." 2 days later, the Virginia legislature voted for secession. Just as we would not send any of our soldiers to march in other states and tyrannize other people, so will we never allow the armies of others to march into our state and tyrannize our people. Like many of you, indeed most of you, I've always been a Union man. It is not with joy or with a light heart that many of us have welcomed secession. Had our neighbors to the north practiced a less bellicose form of persuasion, perhaps this day might not have come, but that day has been thrust upon us like it was thrust upon our ancestors. The Lincoln administration required us to raise 3 regiments. Tell them we have done so.
You cannot hide forever.
And no, you can't hide forever. This is the Renegade and the Rambler show. And yes, that was a different opening. That's the actual opening to my normal show. But due to issues with YouTube, we're using that for tonight. And Jeff's on vacation, so I get to play with all the fancy buttons tonight. So this is your February 11th, 2018 edition. And as I mentioned, I am the Renegade, Dan Bailey. The Rambler's on vacation. I saw firing machine guns down in Lancaster today, so looked like fun. You should have invited me. I'm going to have to send him a nasty gram on that one. But anyway, we do have John Zangaro returning, candidate for the 123rd House seat in the State House of Pennsylvania, formerly the Commonwealth, where you are either common or you're wealthy, but you are never both. And the only one we think is wealthy is the legislature, but they've spent all the money, so they're not wealthy. And Miss Sherman is wandering in the background, making sure we all behave in Jeff's absence. So I had a quiet week going to the great imperial capital of New York City. I heard John, you just got back from Texas. Did you bring any of the warmth with you?
Well, I'd like to think I did. It's raining, it's snowing. We do have a little bit of a boost in elevated temperatures, so sure, I'll take the blame for that.
I'm sure everybody's going to be really upset if you brought some warm temperatures up. Now, in the middle of the summertime, we might have a fit, but not right now.
No, especially with the way the roads look around here, we could use it.
Oh, they were horrible. I don't know how they are in your neck of the woods, but up 80's been absolutely atrocious all winter. Had a buddy of mine tell me flat out that PennDOT told the plow trucks they have exceeded their overtime allotment for the year and can only salt the roads now if the state police call them first. Otherwise, the salt trucks are.
That's our government hard at work, and that's our tax money hard at work. So it sounds about right for Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it was nothing surprising to me when I heard it. I still would like to know why I'm not driving around on streets of gold with the amount of tax money that's extracted from me for highways, but oh well. One thing at a time, right?
Yeah, well, or one pothole at a time.
I would just be happy if it was smooth. 78 around Allentown has just gotten horrible. That's why I take the PA Turnpike. I'll pay the daggone toll to ride on a half smooth road.
Now, don't tell them that. They'll make all the roads toll.
I don't. If they did away with the fuel tax, I don't think I'd be against the tolling, though. But I get your point there.
You're going to give them an excuse to go for it.
Oh, they'll go for it. They'll tax us on that, and then they'll still send us on a toll road.
Yeah. And then they'll tax us using the toll road, and then they'll go ahead and tax us for the tax for the toll road.
Well, yeah, you got to pay your 6% sales tax to drive the toll for the toll road now.
Well, that sounds about right. I mean,
so you make money coming and going. I mean, yeah. It's a good day to be in government.
No, we don't.
No, we're the ones that get the money extracted, otherwise known as theft. Okay, well,
taxation with representation.
Yeah, I don't think that's any better than taxation without representation. It's just the matter that we could complain about it has been tamped down just a smidge.
Yeah, and then they're wanting to cut the legislature, and they're wanting to cut the state legislature in half. So what's that going to do? That's going to make our complaints even smaller.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I can't believe they're even suggesting that. I understand why in their small minds that they would think having less in the state house would somehow benefit the pension and everything. But the problem,
I think they look at Walmart and see, okay, well, if they go ahead and cut their employees and boost what their sales are, or what their margins are, maybe we can do the same thing. But for the people out there that are listening, it doesn't work the same way for the government. What we want is more representatives, so that instead of, like the district I'm running for, I believe we have roughly 43,000 thereabouts that would have access directly to me. Now, if we cut that in half, that would be roughly 20,000 people instead of 43 that would have direct access to me, which means it'd make it a lot easier for you to get a hold of your representative with your issues, your complaints, and your voice would be louder. It would mean more. Then we would also have an argument to cut the pay. We would also have an argument to push it part-time. I believe it's New Hampshire that did that, and it's been working beautifully.
I was under the impression there was only 2 state legislatures that were full-time, Pennsylvania and California. And most people
look at those two. You really want Pennsylvania going the way of California?
Most people here would agree we don't need to do anything that California thinks is a good idea. So, yeah, I'm for actually making it so that you only would represent, say, 15,000 to 20,000, or do what New Hampshire did and go take it all the way down to 7,500. That would be.
I think that is a beautiful statistic right there. Having less than 10,000 people really does allow for true personal representation. Because, again, I mean, how many people generally live in a town? Here in this area, in the Schuylkill County area where I'm running, you have anywhere between 3 to 10,000 in a town. So, I mean, that really wouldn't, the type of representation, the type of ability to go to the office and speak your mind, to then be able to hold them accountable for their actions. That's the biggest part. Being able to say, hey, you know what? I only have to talk to 10,000 people and let them know that you're screwing up. You're gone, dude.
Yeah, and the other idea I had on that topic was if you divided the state up by counties, like the federal government's divided up by states, and you had one rep, Ben Franklin's idea, I believe it was Ben Franklin's idea, was you had at least one rep from each state and then 2 state senators. If you did that on the county level, you could do that. You could change the number of representatives depending on how many people lived in the county, because you got to do a census every 10 years, so you know who lives there. Then the counties have equal representation in the House, and they'd also have 1 or 2 state senators that could voice on behalf of the county, and that would be a more federal way to run the or representative way to run the legislature. The great thing about that then is you don't have all this redistricting stuff that we're about to get into, because then you don't do the redistricting. You just assign a number of congressmen to that county, or a number of.
There wouldn't need to be. I mean, the only thing that would shift or changes, like around Harrisburg, Allentown, Philly, would, as the numbers move back and forth, up and down, that would give you the allowance of 3 or 4 representatives, 5 representatives, maybe back down to 3. It'll only shift like that. You're right. It would make a lot more sense. We wouldn't have this issue of partisanship, where we have what they call it, Donald Duck kicking Goofy.
Oh, that's an interesting district. I understand the whole concept of the gerrymandering that's been going on. Now, for some backstory for our listeners that may not be up on history, gerrymandering's been around since the start of the federal government. It was originally, it's called gerrymandering because Elbridge Gerry was the one that pioneered it. But you guys may not know this, but Patrick Henry also did this to Madison, because him and Madison did not get along historically. He tried to put Madison and Monroe in the same district so that Monroe to keep Madison from going to the first Congress. So a lot of people didn't get along with Madison. A lot of people didn't get along with. We're told in history class in high school that they all met in Philly and everybody was happy and they had a prayer meeting and they signed the Constitution. All went home and everything was jolly. Yeah, if you actually read the record of the convention, you find out that is nowhere close to the case.
Wait a second. Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure political correctness says they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't know what political correctness was at that time.
Yeah, pretty sure they just gave political correctness a boot back over to across the ocean.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Patrick Henry's standing on the floor of the House of Burgesses and ripping the king a new one, I don't think that they cared what political correctness had to say.
Yeah.
Which this all kind of leads. Do what?
We could use another Patrick Henry today.
I kind of wish we'd have one step forth already. I'm getting tired of waiting.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us into our first story. We've been covering this often on me and Jeff. The open or contorted U.S. House districts may see biggest changes. So if you ever want some idea what's actually we're talking about, go to Google and pull up a congressional map of Pennsylvania and look for the latest one. Not the one that the Republicans are trying to edit, the original one that caused this lawsuit. If you look down around the southeast corner where Philadelphia is, it looks like Donald Duck is kicking Goofy, or vice versa.
See, we need one of those weather maps. We need one of those weather maps so we can sit there and do this.
Well, I could do it this way. Let me see. This was a good one. Let me see here. Screen share. course, it would help if I had the. Okay. Hopefully.
There we go.
Down in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see what looks to be being kicked by Duck. You got one there, and then the brown that goes up and around. Then you come over to the west side. You have one district that's got like a squiggly tail. You got the district directly to the north of Donald Duck and Goofy. It's all contorted. So we have no argument here that changes should be made, and this map should not have been drawn this way. Why it was drawn this way, I have no idea. Well, I actually do know. The Republicans were trying to keep they were controlled the House and the Senate at the time. They were trying to keep the Democrats out of the Congress, and the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution allows them to draw the maps. I believe the state constitution allows them to draw the maps too, but it also tells them the districts have to be, small and confined. Is that the language?
Give me a moment, and I can actually pull up the exact language for that.
It was something about they had small and compact, or compact and confined, or I forget the exact language. I should have had that.
Give me a moment. I'll get back to you on that.
All right, so I'll continue with the story then, as soon as I find the right window. Okay, so this comes out of the local Harrisburg ABC station. Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision to throw out the state's congressional map because of partisan gerrymandering has ignited a scramble to redraw district boundaries as dozens of candidates watch and wait. So you all know the primaries for U.S. congressional districts are in May in Pennsylvania. You have to have everything filed by, I believe it is March. Is it March to make the? I think it's March. When does everything have to be filed for the ballot, John? Is it March?
I thought it was before March. I thought it has to be filed by the end of this month. But they have new lines drawn up, and it's supposed to be approved or disapproved. I was told by the 15th, a gentleman that was running for Congress here in my district said that he was told that there's supposed to be a decision made on the 15th. I do have that legislative districting. It is the state constitution's. It is Article 2, Section 16, legislative districts. Says Commonwealth shall be divided in 50 senatorial and 203 representative districts, which shall be composed and compact and contiguous territory is nearly equal in population as practicable. Okay. Each senatorial district shall elect one senator and each representative district one representative. Unless absolutely necessary, no county, city, incorporated town, borough, township, or ward shall be divided in form either a senatorial or representative district. Now, I don't know if you caught that last part. It says, I'll repeat, unless absolutely necessary, no county, city, incorporated town, borough, township, or ward shall be divided in forming either a senatorial or representative district.
And clearly, we're not going to argue, even looks like this would be state constitutional snuff here. This is clearly, it's not compact. It obviously divides. It looks like the towns of Coatesville, Landisdale, probably the southwest side of Philly. And it doesn't even try to stay within a county border. It's just plopped on the map. And we know why. That it was done because Republicans were trying to shift Democrat votes into districts that they know could be overrun by Republican votes. This is not unheard of. Like I said, it's been going on for almost ever. In fact, I think it's been going on all the way back.
Well, the Democrats did it for years prior to this. And that's the argument that I keep hearing on your social media is, well, the Democrats did it. Well, those same people that are saying that were the same people that were screaming that it needed to be fixed when the Democrats did it. So it's not necessarily a partisan issue. Both parties have been doing it. Both parties are at fault. It's not but Mom, he hit me first. It's an issue that needs to be fixed. It needs to be taken care of. It done, but I believe you and we both agreed the timing for it is horrible, because it's not just messing with the people running, it's messing with the people who are looking to be represented as well. We want to know who's going to be running for our area, our district, to represent us. What is our district? Who's available? Because even with this new map, I'm not sure who lives in that map, who otherwise, because, excuse me, Cartwright is our incumbent currently. With this new map, no longer in the district that I reside. The three people that were running as on the Republican ticket, none of those three live in that district anymore. So I don't have a clue of who's going to represent my district congressionally.
Well, that's like my district congressionally. I'm probably going to have to change who my representative is. And like you, I have no idea who that's going to be. The worst part is the people running don't even know who that's going to be, because literally paperwork's got to be filed. You don't have time to get your signatures in, which I agree that we should even have to have signatures for, but you have to have so many signatures in, and it's a state or a federal seat. So I believe it's like 300 or 500 signatures for the party ballot or something like that. I was up at one point.
I think it's 500.
500.
I
know for like local.
I have it. Yeah, I have it pulled up somewhere. Let me go back to it, because I had to pull it up since I'm running for state. It was on that same petition. So give me a moment, and I'll actually give you the exact numbers. It was right here.
Right, because that's Secretary of State, right? That handles that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Bob. I'm sure they have more, but elections is the main job of the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. What is this? Oh, that's the wrong one. Here we go. This one here. Here it is. It's pulling up right now. I have.
All right.
Well, technology is failing me horribly.
I got to remember
where is that?
Screen sharing, that I can pull this stuff up and we can describe what's on the screen.
Yeah, I had it right here, but it's giving me an issue right now. Find your.
So
wow.
You have to have a certain number of signatures in order to get on the ballot. Now, it doesn't preclude write-ins, obviously, because you can stand outside the polling booths and hand out pieces of paper and say, hey, write me in. But you can't actually be listed on the ballot unless you have these signatures. And the other problem in PA with the signature count is if you run under Republican or Democrat, you only have to have, I believe it's half the signatures of what an independent would have to have. Which
no,
I think is
that's actually changed. Ken Krawchuk was working in the Libertarian Party with a group of people, and they finally got it passed. They no longer have an absurd amount, but here's the number that we were discussing, because I just printed my. You have to go online and print out the signature petitions and whatnot. Here it is. Give me one moment. Let me hold it up. Says right here, United States senators, excuse me, as well as your congressional, 2,000 signatures required. Filing fee is $200. Governor is 2,000 signatures, $200. Lieutenant governor is 1,000 signatures, $200. What's up with lieutenant governor position? That makes no sense to me. Most states don't even have that. I think we should make that obsolete. Then we have Senator General Assembly is $500 for $1,000. State representative for representative in General Assembly is 300 signatures for $100. member of Democratic State Committee or member of Republican State Committees, 100 signatures for $25. So that's the layout right there for you. And what it looks like when you're done comes up. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it has all the general information right here. And I'll pull back. You have your signatures go here. Now the fun part is they give you this, right? When you print this out, here's page 2 for your signatures. I don't know if you can read that number, but the last number there is 30. They give you 30 slots for 300 signatures. So basically you have to figure out how you're going to do it yourself. And of course, that's one of the loopholes that they like to get you at. If you're not part of the swamp, the incumbent, well, they're going to mess with you on how you do your own papers, and they're going to nitpick at that and try to get your petition thrown out.
Oh, yeah. They're really good about making sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you're an independent, but if it comes to them passing legislation, we have to read the legislation to know what's in it. It's really this is nowhere close to what a representative republic is supposed to look like, people. But this is Pennsylvania, so
we had that in our state of Pennsylvania before Nancy Pelosi made it cool.
I think she's from California, so I think we're the California of the East Coast. The only thing we differ on is we don't believe we're all going to die walking out of the house. And we have too many farmers and hunters here to let them ever get gun legislation passed, even though they tried desperately to pass.
Now, they did. They had a lot of farmers there, a whole lot of farmers. But, I mean, they little by little started manipulating their, like for example, the water over there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but California's on the coast. The coast means there's an ocean there. Now, an ocean is full of not trees, moon rocks. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, it's water. It's water. But they're worried about running out of water. Now, they sit there and say that they can't use that because it's too salty. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we assist Israel with that same issue, sending over centrifuges to pull and draw all that salt out? Israel was a nasty little desert area that couldn't grow a thing, and now they're flourishing as one of the most thriving farm lands over in the Middle East because of that. And they have salt. So look at that. You have water and salt.
And the amazing part is I think they do the entire nation of Israel with only 2 centrifuges or 2 desaltination plants. I might be wrong on that. I never looked the stat up. But if you can do...
It's 2 plants.
2? Okay. So if they can run the entire nation of Israel off of 2 plants, imagine what we could do with the I'll just dream here. The nation of California, if we made them 5 plants on the coast as part of their going away present. They could completely turn the entire San Bernardino desert area into a flourishing subtropical rainforest if they so desired. Now,
yes, they could. And we would have and they could export enough salt that we wouldn't have to worry about an issue of frozen tundra here in northern Pennsylvania because we could import the salt from them.
Well, no, we probably wouldn't because this is Pennsylvania and we'd be going off of like the what happened before the ice age? What was our weather forecast? Oh, we didn't have any snow. Okay, that'll be our snow budget for this year. The year -3 million. I don't know. I don't believe there was a negative year 3 million, but I'm just pulling that out my head.
It's that magical credit card that every teenager dreams of.
You mean the one Congress has? It's called the printing press. We print the number we want, and which we have a story on that too. I mean, I'm sure I didn't know if you knew this, but this was an amazing deal that got brought up. Apparently, House and Senate Republicans talking about the U.S. federal, or shall we say, wannabe federal government. Apparently, the Republicans that were so against deficit spending are apparently now for deficit spending. The House of Representatives voted early Friday to approve a massive budget package that lifts spending caps. Why did we lift spending caps? I didn't think there was a problem. Why do we need more spending? While funding the government through March 23rd. So we didn't even get the government fully funded till the end of the year. It's just till March 23rd. So we'll have another fight in about a month. All but ending a brief shutdown after a tumultuous night on Capitol Hill. Now, John, you were away at work. So did you know why there was such a tumultuous night on Capitol Hill last Thursday?
Don't use big words like tumultuous around me. that makes me a little uneasy. But no, well, I believe that the issue is, let's start at the beginning. Everyone, well, not at the beginning, but let's move years back. When Obama was doing this, everyone's up in arms, throwing a fit, and there was a huge budget crisis, is what we were being told. There's a crisis. What did he do? He elevated our budget threefold, I believe. He basically took on more debt than all the presidents before him combined. That was a huge issue. Now, we know that the tadpoles need saving over in California. We know that some silly little spider somewhere needs to be injected with some formula in some university. These are the things that we're spending this huge budget on. People aren't really privy to where the money is truly going. We hear things like welfare, Social Security, and the DOD, but the majority of your funds is actually being slushed through lobbyist fingers into these silly little projects, and a majority of your military funding isn't even going to the military directly. You have certain contractors that are siphoning off big portions of this. Now, I know of one name that has stood as a bastion and a beacon for the liberty of ridding ourselves from any debt. And in the Bible, if I may, it states that if you're in debt, you're basically a slave to the lender. And our founders actually understood that the fastest way to lose our liberty was to go into debt. Rand Paul has stood fast and has been vocal, no matter if it's a Republican or Democrat in this case, and he's been fighting to guarantee that we get back on a balanced budget effort. Now, Nancy Pelosi, who did not, we've seen all the memes, she didn't stand even for 30 seconds for the United States of America. She refused to stand for the ability to take down MS-13, which is just a brutal and horrendous gang. She refused to stand for the gentleman who escaped from North Korea. She refused to stand for the United States military. She refused to stand for the tax plan that is helping out the common man like you and I. But yet she was willing to stand up there. I think this is the longest time she's ever checked in since she's been in office. And stood there and threw a hissy fit about this budgeting issue, because she believes that you and I need to spend more on people who aren't even tax-paying legal citizens. Did I miss anything?
Well, you see, John, what happened there is she went in for a Botox injection, and instead of them putting it into her face to pull it tight, they ended up putting it into her lower back, so she couldn't sit down. So when she stood up, she literally stuck standing up, and then she just had to blab on for 8 hours on the House floor. I mean, I thought the House was time limited. I know the magic minute and everything because I looked it up, but at some point, you got to think the speaker and the majority leader would have said, sit down and be quiet. We're done with you. Unless, amazingly, this came out from the Republican Congressional Committee that the longer you talk, ma'am, the easier our job gets. So I think they purposely let her go on and on and on because they were watching live poll numbers get better and better for the Republicans. Why they would, I don't have a clue, because the Republicans are acting more like conservative Democrats than they are Republicans right now. But
now, if I may, the military has a saying: when you see your enemy marching towards a cliff, you don't stop them.
Just let them go.
Yep. So that was probably their thought process was, hey, look, she is destroying not just herself, but her entire brand, her party right now. Because you have people like Chuck Schumer, who was, what was it? Not even 6 years ago, he was vehemently opposed to this immigration situation right now, and he absolutely did not believe in funding it. He did not agree that they should be over here. We even have sound bites of Bill Clinton back in the day. Same thing. They can't figure out where they're going to stick their roots and hold on. They're all over the place.
Yeah, it's really bad that you actually had Democrats coming out and saying they were for military spending because it was the only way they could get spending across. And I mean, last time I've ever heard a Democrat say we need military spending probably would have to go back to the Roosevelt administration. They've never been for military spending at all. And
do you know how the military budget works?
Not exact. Well, I know bits and pieces from family, but you probably know more than I do.
Let me break it down real simple for everybody here. I'm not going to get into the intricacies, but as my old sergeant used to say, let's break it down stupid style for you. So here's what it is. They have a certain amount of budget given to them for that year for ammunition and supplies. If they don't use a certain amount of that ammunition and supply, that budget is revoked for the following year. They will literally just throw away stuff. They will give things out to the soldiers. They'll get rid of them any way that they can as far as the supplies. And for the ammunition, you will literally see everybody line up about a month or two prior to the end of that fiscal budget deadline there. And everyone's lined up just firing down range as many rounds as they possibly can so that they can get rid of them just to justify for that budget to stay where it's at. Now, that'd be like me going, hey, I'm going to give you $2,000 a month to live off of, but if you can be more fiscally responsible and you don't need that $2,000, well, then we'll reevaluate it, reassess it, and we'll cut the budget to where it makes sense. And then you just go all hog wild and make sure you spend every red cent, whether you need it or not.
The joke always was in my family is that's how enlisted get mahogany desks and stuff, is because we got to spend this money or we'll lose it. So Captain's getting a new desk. We'll just move his desk down through the chain, and these old metal desks, well, they can go be recycled.
Yeah, and Congress does the same thing. I mean, you have Congress that's constantly in and out. Their offices are being remodeled. They're getting new desks, new chairs, new everything. Every time a new president moves in, all the furniture's out, all the new furniture's in. That's your money. That's my money. I didn't realize you and I signed on for that.
And that's why we should have a zero-based budget. It's got to be balanced. We get the top number that's balanced. We know what we're bringing in. Then each department has to come to the table and say why they need X number of dollars instead of, oh, we're just going to give you 2,000, and if you don't get 2,000, we're going to cut you back.
You're calling for fiscal responsibility and accountability?
I
You
know
need to
that.
hold
That's,
on, sir.
I know that. That's
Yeah.
almost impossible. We can't get that at the local level, let alone the federal level.
You know, and it's ridiculous that we're paying to remodel their offices. I can't even pay to remodel my house.
I'm in the same boat with you. Got to get the house paid off before I have money to remodel the thing.
Yeah. Need that magic credit card.
If they would tell me where to sign up for that magic credit card, but like Dave Ramsey says, you can't spend like you're a member of Congress because you're not. I'm butchering his quote, but I'm sure everybody here that's listened to Dave Ramsey knows exactly the quote I'm referring to.
I love Dave. Dave, if you're listening, I love you, man.
I'll have to tag him in this. But anyway, this brings us up to another story. We're just talking about accountability and fiscal conservatism and accountability, which I'm sorry, John, we're taking them completely out of the order we originally discussed, but
that's fine. Yeah.
The more they dig into this whole Russian collusion thing with Trump, one nasty thing keeps coming out of all this. It seems to keep pointing back to Democrats and to the Clintons. Of course, the media is trying to bury this as much as possible, but apparently now they're starting to look into this Uranium One deal that Obama signed on, which basically sold uranium to a Canadian company that got bought out by a Russian company. We have to actually put signatures on for that because that's our uranium that they were selling. Well, this news article from Fox says an FBI informant involved in the controversial Uranium One deal has told congressional committees that Moscow paid millions to a U.S. lobbying firm in a bid to influence then Secretary of State Clinton by helping former Bill Clinton's charities during the Obama administration. This sounds a lot like pay to play.
Yeah.
If I pay you this money, you'll let me do this. And that's illegal. That's called a bribe. We don't allow that, quote unquote, in this country. Even though apparently we do. That is, if your last name's Clinton, you can get pulled over for doing 90 and a 55 and say, well, I didn't intend to violate the law and somehow get a pass. Most of us.
So for the people who are listening, you did kind of run through that a little fast. It's American uranium that's being sold to a Canadian mining company who recently sold their rights off to Russia. So America, Canada, Russia. That just, yeah. It's kind of disturbing to think that Canada's weaseled their way right into our backyard like that.
So the bigger deal, though, here is if you're Russia, just think hypothetically here. If you're Russia and you had to pick between Hillary or Trump or Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Trump, and you had dealings with Mrs. Clinton already and knew how she was going to respond to everything and what her price was, and you were going to try and rig an election, would you not rig the election to the benefit of yourself by trying to get the party you know about into power? The party that's got enough dirt that you can control them and you can bribe them. And this is what I've always said with this whole colluding case. If you just follow the money all points back to the Clintons. It doesn't point back to Trump. Trump funded his own election. This all points back to the Clintons needing money from Russia in a pay-to-play scheme. And it's going to point back.
Yeah, I mean, they not only have figured out what her price is for giving up things such as uranium, which, sure, you can utilize uranium to power a plant in order to keep the lights on, but you can also utilize uranium for nuclear missiles or other type of nuclear explosives. And so if she's willing to do that for Russia, who we're being told by the news media is such a horrible nation to do business with, they're led by terrible people, They're colluding into our government elections. They're rigging them. We shouldn't have anything to do with them. But the previous administration has been doing business with them the entire time. Hillary's been. I doubt that she actually did business with them. I'm pretty sure Bill did it. He's just the smooth talker of the two. Every time she opens her mouth, everyone goes the other way. But it doesn't matter. I mean, when it comes down to it, they're doing these dealings that are, like you said, an element of collusion that's happening between the federal government and Russia. It was occurring. It just wasn't with Trump. It was with the previous administration, has Hillary's fingerprints all over it. And now they have access to her in a way that they should never have access to any national leader, any leader, anyone on that level. And they could use it to blackmail her. So should she have gotten into office, could you imagine what they'd have the ability to get into at that point?
Oh yeah, they were talking about before the election. She could have been the first president to actually have her security clearance invoked because she can't keep secure documents anymore because of what she did as Secretary of State. You can't store classified information in a server off of government property. There's security reasons for this. Now, whether she violated the law or not, we all think she did, but that's up to the FBI and the U.S. Attorney General, who seems rather inept at his job at the moment. But to go through with prosecutions and stuff. But I don't know about John, but anybody I know that would have left classified information on a desk and walked to the washroom would be doing time in federal prison. But she can leave them in a server in Chappaqua and nobody says two words about it. It just
but she only had one phone, right? She only had one phone.
Yeah,
she only had one electronic.
She couldn't figure out how to merge the two.
Yeah, and she had very, very limited dealings with sending anything outside of those in her department too. I mean, she only talked to Bill, 2,000 or 3,000 times?
Yeah, and I'm sure Bill's security clearance was still up to date too.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was done away with as soon as he left office. But yeah, it was. You can't make this stuff up. It's amazing what they have gotten away with so far. But
I mean, they are the people that we put in charge. So I guess we do have to take some blame for that. But when it comes down to it, it's also up to us to hold them responsible. So if we just sit back, we stay quiet, and we expect that they are going to rein themselves in and hold themselves accountable, who are we joking?
They'll hold themselves accountable. Yeah, okay.
Well, you don't believe that, Dan?
No, not in the least.
That's extremely unpatriotic, sir.
Maybe we should turn this whole Russian collusion thing on its head and say, let's see, we didn't vote for anybody. It was the Russians that did it, so it's the Russians' fault for everything. Then we don't have to take responsibility.
You think about it, though. She had all that information that Obama's been drawing out of all these different online businesses over the time that he was in office. I mean, what they say? He was downloading personal information for how many years on the entire country, utilizing Facebook and the NSA. Then she had access to that. Then she had access to all the funds being in the current administration and all the access to the different agencies. They had the IRS just giving the runaround and giving havoc to the patriot groups that were trying to get up and running. Then you also had the collusion with the Russians. She had absolutely everything everything going for her, and she still screwed that up.
Doesn't the CIA answer to the State Department?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. So she basically had the CIA. You would have thought that all these groups working for her would have somehow been able to hack the voting machines and give her the election. Maybe that's why she's so bitter now that these agencies can play ball and help her out as much as she was hoping. Or the American people just showed up in higher numbers than they expected.
Yeah. Well, you know, I did take notice that people did show up in higher numbers than expected. Like a lot of the dead people across the country, they really got out the vote.
Let's go say, what was it? Chicago had like 400. I'm pulling numbers out of my head here. Chicago, the entire graveyards got up and voted somehow. First time it's ever happened. Never
I don't remember where. I don't remember where it was exactly, but it was somewhere. It was either in Pennsylvania or Ohio. They had the same dead guy vote in 3 different polling stations.
They had an illegal in Texas, I believe, voted in 4 different federal elections. And she'd already been warned about it twice. And then she was making it out to be that she was a victim because they wouldn't let her vote. And they were sending her to jail for a 10-year sentence for voter, I think it was voter fraud. I'm not sure what the exact charge was. It was a Texas state charge. But yeah.
Yeah,
so,
but yeah.
Do what?
But see, and I agree. You should go ahead and hold her responsible and accountable for that. But again, why does the ruling class get a slap on the wrist, dismissed? I mean, if that lady's getting, what'd you say, 10 years for that?
I believe it was 10 years. I might be off. It might be 2. I have to actually look.
2 years. I don't care. Let's call it 2 years. Where's the shackles for Clinton?
Yeah, I know. And she clearly, the FBI said she clearly violated the law, and yet crickets on a prosecution. For the life of me, I do not understand that. I know, well, I don't know anybody directly, but I've been told that, like my uncle was Air Force, if a lieutenant or whatever left a document that was marked classified on his desk and walked up to get a cup of coffee and didn't lock it and secure it, he's in Leavenworth or wherever the Air Force puts their, I think it's Leavenworth still, but wherever they put their criminals, they charge them with a federal felony and all this stuff. But she was able to keep a hard drive and say, well, it wasn't classified at the time. It had classified marked on the documents.
At this point, what does it matter anyways, right?
Very true. Very true.
Hey, do you mind if I go ahead and throw something out that's going on down here in my county?
No, we got about 7 minutes left.
We have down in Pottsville area this Thursday at 6 p.m. It's kicking off. It's the Meet the Candidates event. Again, it's this Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Pine View Acres in Pottsville. Meet the Candidate event. We have a few people coming out. I believe there's going to be 6 candidates at this point that I know of that are going to be there. Now with the redistricting, the congressional candidate is subject to change. And I spoke with Robert Knigel, so he might not be there due to the redistricting, and he apologizes because he was really looking forward to coming out. But we do have one, if not more, candidates looking to take his place potentially should this redistricting occur. So again, it's happening in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Schuylkill County, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Pine View Acres, 6 p.m. We have, let's see, Paul Mango's not going to show up, but he is looking to send someone to represent his campaign. So come on out and you can talk to them. We do have another candidate for governor that's going to be there. We're having 3 U.S. Senator candidates, at least 1 U.S. House candidate, and myself running for state rep. We're all going to be accessible. We're going to be there for about 2 hours to just mingle with the public, answer whatever questions you have, and really just give you time to access us.
Sounds like a good time. I did put in to get off. We'll see if I get off. If I do get off, I'll be there to Facebook Live it or YouTube it, or I've got to figure out the logistics with the phone, but it will end up online eventually.
That would be wonderful. I'd love to have you there. We're looking to have one of the more prominent activists here in Pennsylvania, Dan Gray. He's looking to MC it. If you're able to get off, I'd love to have you right there next to him, kind of co-host and maybe throw out some questions to each of the candidates. Really get involved there and let the people know what they need to know about each and every candidate. Remember,
sounds like a
all the candidates are there for you because it is the job for the candidate to represent you.
Yep, and we obviously need more participation by the electorate, or else this stuff's going to continue to go downhill as fast, if not faster than it already is.
Yeah.
Well, John, it's been a pleasure. Is there any last words you have before I start the music and end the show here?
I'd like to say thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate this opportunity. It was an honor and a pleasure. And to everybody out there, remember, get out, vote. Don't wait for the media to tell you who to vote for. Just really, really look in to see who's running for candidate in whatever position it may be, and try to support somebody. Don't wait for them to knock on your door. Get out the vote and try to become as knowledgeable as possible. Thank you, everybody. God bless.
Yep, and thank you for being here, John. It was nice having you on. You did a really good job filling in for Jeff tonight. This is the Renegade and the Rambler show. We would like it if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. There'll be a link for it, I believe, on this side of me. One of these days I'm going to write all this down. But there should be a link. Click on that to subscribe. There'll be a link to the rest of our playlist. That'll bring up all the other shows, including Jeff's Paradigm Shift and Suzanne's The Wasatch Report. I believe Suzanne's aiming to do a show on Monday and Tuesday live. Don't hold me to that. If watch our YouTube, our Facebook channel, Cerberus Radio Network, for updates on channel times and listings. We enjoyed having you. If you have, okay, I can't see what that was, but anyway.
I just want to remind everyone, remember, taxation is theft.
Yes, taxation is theft. We look forward to seeing you. If I can make it out to the event, I will be there. Watch for updates. As soon as updates are known, we will post them. Feel free to join the fan group on Facebook and comment on the video below, like, and share it, please. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Remember, there should be live shows Monday and Tuesday, so stay tuned for those. Until then, be safe, and have a nice night.